Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hello and welcome. If you're new, let's just say I talk all kinds of tea, especially political tea. So if you don't like politics, yeah, you're probably not going to like me. I am a liberal, Democrat, progressive. I'm a mixture of all of the left side of things. I'm right handed, but left minded. But anyway, I talk a lot about mental health and misdiagnosis, medical trauma, family trauma, emotional like a lot of traumas. I also talk, I'm going to be doing more Reddit stories. I haven't done that in a while. I talk dating nightmares and I always try to have some type of proof, and then current events, disability, female, minority representation, or situations with the river of racism and things. So it's always a lovely variety. So, but also know, always have a snack, always have something to sip on because I talk a lot. I know I take a minute. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. It's like never be scared to like, comment, and subscribe, of course, because I'll finish that off at the end. But anyway, okay. With the subject, I just want to say that with your identity, what is your identity? How old are you before you find out who you really are? And how much of your identity and how much of who you are is because of how you were brought up, and how much of it is because what you have decided? And now that I'm thinking about that, like the whole politics of like the Republicans are saying parents are teaching their children to be a certain way, and I'm like, well, huh, that's a complicate. I don't know the naiveness of that because, well, I have plenty of examples, but literally just now I that kind of sprung up to my head because okay. When while growing up, I know you guys haven't really seen the bubbly, chipper, like happy side of me yet. I talk a lot about the trauma that I've been through, so you heard a little of my dry humor, a little bit, and sometimes with the jokes. It's like I'm working on becoming my full self, or at least showing my full self. I'm still nervous with doing so because while growing up, I smiled and laughed a lot. And kind of like how Trump is treating Kamala with her smiling and laughing, he's just saying how stupid she is and just saying so many obnoxious, awful, idiotic, naive things, in my opinion, of course. And it's to the point where it's just like, what is wrong with being happy? What is wrong with smiling? What is wrong with being bubbly? But while growing up, I kind of went through a lot of the same thing. You're smiling too much. Stop doing that. Close your mouth. Why are you smiling? No, nothing's funny. Why are you always so happy? Why are you always smiling? Why are you smile so big? Blah blah blah. And I used to get so confused. Like, why am I not supposed to be smiling? Why am I not supposed to be happy? And it got to a point where sometimes I would be too nervous and too scared, and it was like I wasn't happy because the happiness was being sucked out of me. Especially when, like, either I was smiling too much or there was so much trauma to the point where I was like a statue and I just don't want to be bothered. And next thing I know, like if you go to families' houses and I don't act my happy go lucky self, and the family member asks, "Oh, what's wrong with her? She's normally so happy. I love her smile." Then when we get home, "You better act like you normally do. You better smile." I'm like, "But you tell me not to." So now am I supposed to be smile? I had to remember which houses I could be myself or I could smile at. I had to remember, because some of them, if they would ask my parents, then I would get in trouble. And keeping that kind of log in the back of my brain. And sometimes I just didn't care, especially after either report cards or when puberty hit with my weight. Like, yeah, I was always reminded about if I'm gaining weight or if my hips are too big, if my behind is too big. And it's like, oh, it's like boys are gonna, like, you're only in this grade and you have this large, blah, blah, blah. So boys are gonna be looking at you, so you better not be smiling. Yeah, because of how I'm shaped, in public, I wasn't allowed to smile because then men would look at me, but then they would blame me, not the men. And that just felt so confusing. And I know even in high school and college, I know like some people would talk about how I was always just happy and something was wrong with me. And I was just like, to the point where I just stayed to myself, or I hid, or I would just go to like just certain areas on campus to just dodge humanity because I could never be myself. They always talked about me and or compared me because I have the perfect sister. And yes, it's like I say perfect, I mean it as a compliment, but that perfection almost, no, the perfection did tear me down for years. I never got to feel like I could be myself. I had I was I had to carry different rules than her. She got to go after her dreams, pursue her identity, pursue her love, pursue what her dreams were. And with me, no, because even in 11th grade, while we were applying for colleges and things, I know my parents were asking me what my major, or what was I thinking of my major. And I had no idea, because with those career tests, they didn't fit. And I was just like, no, that's not correct. That's not good. That's not right. And I've always had a love of writing stories, and people have told me I was good at writing stories. And one of the only people that gave me positive feedback was one of my English teachers. But sometimes I wonder if it was out of pity, after, like, because maybe she knew that no one else cared about me, so maybe that's why she paid me more attention. And I thank her for it, but at the same time I feel bad for it. But I just remember thinking, after so many years of, you're not as smart as your sister, what are you going to do? Are you going to be a failure all your life? You need to pick up your grades. You're not that smart. You're going to be a failure. All you're going to be is someone's maid. All you know how to do is clean and to, like, take care of other people's children. And so I remember because I was too nervous to tell them that I want to be a writer. When I did, ooh, it got interesting. If you major in English, we're not going to pay for it, and you're not, but you better go to school, so you better figure out something else. Okay. Okay, it's like, I love politics, I love law. My dad looked me right in the eyes and told me I wasn't smart enough. That hurt, and when I started getting teary-eyed and started crying, what are you crying for? What are you crying for? No, I'm just telling you the truth. You know it's the truth. You know you're not smart enough. And I'm crying harder. There's just no reason for you to cry. Stop that crying. Stop that crying. Because, yeah, it's like, because I was crying harder. So basically, him yelling at me to stop crying, that didn't help. Till this day, I don't think he realized that doesn't help. Yelling at somebody to tell them to stop crying does not help. But I also thought of, there was a third idea that I had in mind, but it's like, it was author, lawyer. Oh, I loved computers, and especially the different ways that people were programming. And I thought, since I love being creative and things like that, maybe I can learn how to work and create and design websites. And my dad again told me only men and lesbians major in that, and you better not be a lesbian. So, and I better not see you major in that, or I'm gonna really start watching over you and questioning you. Wow. Because it's like, even years later, or even during college, I kept I kept thinking, like, I want to go into computers, but I'm not allowed. I can't, because then my dad is going to, like, because he even said that he was going to, like, or this is another story for another day, but my mom literally had watchdogs over me at college, to the point where whenever they saw me, or whenever they heard something about me, they would run to my sister, and then my sister would tell my mom, and then my mom would yell at me and cause more trauma to me, even though 80% of things that were said were lies and that were not true. But and so yeah, he I don't know, it's just, college was very true. Like, I thought high school was traumatic, but then college, especially now that I'm diagnosed, because everyone thought I was lying about why I walk like this, and also they thought I was lying that I was being punished for walking like this. And so that's another reason almost all of them loved my sister so much, because she wasn't going through what I was going through. So anyway, so next thing I know, my dad tells me that since you like animals, you're gonna be a veterinarian. You're gonna major in biology. And I do love animals, but I'm not good at science. I'm terrible at science. I love astrology. I love, well, like the science with or anthropological sciences. But yeah, if a puppy passed away, or with all these medicines and things like that, like, no, mm-mm. I, but my parents both agree, like, I better major in that, and I better go for that career. And so over the summer, after I get my congratulations from OU or whatever, yeah, you made it to college, whatever. Because at first I was like, oh, well, at least if I don't get in, then I have an excuse to have time to think about it, or maybe I can go to OCC like another family member, and that'll buy me some time. But I got in, and I mean, I didn't have bad grades or anything like that, but I didn't have the exceptional grades as my perfect sister. So, and I thought I was probably going to get in, but I don't know. Part of me was just kind of hoping to have space from perfection, so that to have a different path from her. People don't understand how, whenever they talk to me, they always remind me that I will never be as good as her. And basically, since I am only a couple minutes older than her, that I am supposed to be just like her. But how much of a disappointment. They called me a disappointment so many times. And when I would cry, they would say, "That's not, why are you crying? We're just telling you what God wants us to tell you." And oh, I have screenshots, and I'm going to be doing an episode soon on Facebook. There's a writing group that, where this one guy, he, like, for a few weeks, he was asking questions every day, but he asked, like, what or who stops some of your goals, dreams, and things like that. I forgot the exact question, but I was honest, and I said the church and my parents. and he had a laughing emoji. Like he loved all of the other answers, but then with mine he laughed. And I even wrote like, "What's so funny?" And he responded, "Your answer is." Okay, well, when your parents are saying how much of a disappointment you are, and they're saying how, oh, since you're getting fat, no one's ever going to love you. Since you walk like that, no one's ever going to want you, love you, or marry you. And it's like all you're going to end up being is someone's maid. And then when I start crying, why are you crying? You know, this is what God wants me to tell you. God is telling me to tell you this. You should think of it as a blessing. I should think of it as a blessing. And I wonder why I have not become a villain yet. I wonder why. Like, I don't know, sometimes when I used to date criminals, yes, like I dated ex, and that's one reason, like, I will never do that again, because I used to be like, they've changed. You know, they flipped and, you know, they turned over a new leaf. They're different. They've matured. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. It's like during my happier times or my cheerful times, I was kind of like the Disney princess. It's like, you get a second chance, you get a second chance, waving my magic wand, you all get a second chance. Yeah, no, you're still doing that criminal activity. Yeah, okay, yeah, let me just break up with you, dodge you, block you, whatever I have to. Um, but anyway, so I start college, start biology, and everything's going over my head. I don't understand any of this information. And then I remember in the textbooks, it said something about twins skip every other generation. And in my family, it doesn't skip a generation. Every generation, we've had twins. And so I remember answering the question the way that I know of it. And then when I got it wrong, I went up to my professor and I told him it doesn't skip generations. It hasn't on, like, well, I have twins on both sides of my family, but on one side, it has never skipped a generation. Actually, okay, I need to double check my mom's side, but I think there's, yeah, anyway. So yeah, my dad never is never, and it's the same pattern. And I remember he kind of looked at me. He was like, "I think you're mistaken, hon." Well, my aunt's a twin, her son's a twin, and he had twins. And I just remember that he just treated me like I was an idiot and told me to go away. So I did, because I failed the test either way. But I knew with that answer, it's like from my family, like I've experienced it, never skipped a generation. So with my other classes, I was doing, it's like the tests were like, I'm terrible at tests. And now that I know that I have a learning disability, I realize, yeah, this is why I've had such a hard time in school. It's like, oh, some subjects I'm great at, others don't, especially math and accounting. Who, accounting was a joke. Oh my gosh. Yeah, be sitting in an accounting class. Oh, that's funny right there, you know? Anyway, oh, and the bigger joke, oh, oh, never mind. Okay, I'll be nice, because it's like, how come a lot of the accounting professors were just so mean and unpersonable? It's like, yeah, I'm just thinking of that right now, because both of the accounting professors that I had were so unpersonable. But anyway, so high school and college, trying to figure out who I am, trying to figure out my identity, trying to separate myself from the perfect daughter. But then I'm always reminded, you're not good enough, you're going to be a failure. And so then anyway, I changed my major. That's another subject in another episode too, because I went and changed my major. I was so scared, so I didn't tell anybody. And I was going to wait until I felt comfortable, or once I got or I got my next report card to show that these classes are better for me, this is a better subject for me. But the academic advisor is the same one for my perfect sister. And she told my perfect sister. And my perfect sister, just like that night, went and told them. And I don't blame her. I blame my parents. Because I blame doctors for like 80 to 90%. I blame my parents for about 10 to 20. Well, 10, 10 to 15. And then everyone else 5%. So, but anyway, I remember that weekend. I can't believe you changed your major. You're going to be just like naming of a family member. Oh, I can't believe it's like, how could you do something so stupid? You're not going to do anything for the rest of your life. You're just a failure. And I'm hearing this all weekend to the point where I try to go in my room to just not hear it. Then they call me back down, tell me to sit down so that they can tell me that I'm going to be a failure, that I'm going to be stupid, and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, let's just say, like, so my sister graduates a year earlier than me, but that's because I had a double minor. And my degrees are an odd combination, I know, but oddly enough, it's like things work in mysterious, miraculous ways in a way because I'm using all of my degrees and my certifications for the business I'm creating right now because I'm a writer. So my major is in English, but I studied cultural applied anthropology and also business. And then well, so then after I graduated, I went for my first master's. If you've been listening to my stories, you already know my mom's response when I told her that I got into grad school. Why the hell did you do that for? Yeah, quote unquote. And so then that trauma caused me to date Mr. Lockakey, that and he threatened to eliminate himself from the earth if I didn't date him. So yeah, he loved bombing. Yeah. Anyway, so then I finished that master's. Then I went back and got a second master's because jobs kept saying that I didn't have the work experience. But then after I went back and got a second master's, they said I was overqualified. So then I had to create 3 to 5 different versions of my resume. One with my bachelor's, and I didn't put any of my minors. One with my bachelor's and minors. One with my bachelor's and one of my masters. One with my major and both my masters, and then one of them with all of them. So yeah, it's like for each job I had to figure out which resume would go best with it because each job was telling me. I kept getting, you don't have the work experience, you're overqualified, you like, why did you get all this information? And just it was, or also, why did you spell your name like that? Why did you spell your name like that? Who made this name for you? This is such a unique name. And it's like, if my minor's in business, that means I took HR, and I know that question is illegal. But if I try to report you, it's like he said versus she said. So that I didn't report anybody because I didn't, like, since everyone always thought that I was a liar, I never thought anyone would believe me, so I just shut up. So anyway, so then while I was in grad school, I became a nanny. And so my dad's worst nightmare, me cleaning up and watching someone else's kids. And yeah, let's just have some nightmare trauma situations because even though I was told I was doing a great job, yeah, I couldn't talk about my work at home. So it was literally waking up, going to nanny, or doing promotional modeling because I started promotional modeling right around the same time. Then going home, doing homework, and making sure I do not mention anything about either one of my jobs because my parents said being a promotional model was a waste of time. It was stupid. A fifth grader could do it. I was a wannabe, more dressed stripper. It's like I'm doing something that uneducated idiots do. I'm trying to think, like, there's such a long list of things they told me. And you're nothing but a failure because this is all you're going to do in your life. Oh, you want to try to sell things to people? That's what losers do. So, anyway, I'm going to have to do a part two because I'm running out of time. Because, yeah, it's like I haven't even told you what happened after I graduated when I was thinking about becoming the author and or the business owner or a real estate agent and a couple other ideas. And when I did get a job, my mother literally forced me to quit the job. And after I quit the job, she told me at like when I started going to other job interviews, and I never got the job interviews because of how I walked, because they always asked me, when am I going to get my legs fixed or when am I going to go get surgery? That's why you're never going to find a job because you walk like that. You're never going to find a job. No one's ever going to hire you. And I remember the 2 times I would remind her I did have a job. Yeah, I get slapped across my face so quick, so I had to learn. Do not mention, like, but yeah, I had a job for about a month or month and a half, and it was a door-to-door sales job. So yeah, it wasn't a great job, but it was a job that I was trying to put on my resume so that I would have work experience to find more jobs. But literally, she asked for a family member to come over to my house and cry and talk to me until I decided to quit. And I still didn't decide to quit, but it was to the point where she was going to kick me out if I didn't quit. And I'm just like, yeah, anyways, another episode for another day. Thank you for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human and I have been through trauma. This this channel is, well, to kind of figure out the villain inside of everyone, mental health, life trauma, accomplishing goals, and also the complication of finding love, or what is love and what is acceptance, and just, I'm not saying the meaning of humanity, but how humanity has changed and evolved to such a point where can we even come together? Because politically, yeah, that's not. And then religiously, that's complicated. Race wise, oh, some people, yeah. I recently had a student tell me racism is over with, so we're gonna get over it. And he doesn't even realize about five five semesters prior, I literally had 4 or 5 Trump supporters. They wore their hats, sat in the front of the classroom, crossed their arms, staring at me. One of their projects was about grape drink, and it was stereotyping black people. And the 2 African Americans in the class looked at me like their eyes, like kind of like a deer in headlights. And I was looking at them too because I was just like, I need to stop this. And but then with my disability, I was like, I need to get security. I don't know what to do. When I try to talk to these gentlemen, they literally just told me to shut up and deal with, like, I know black people. I know black people. I work in Pontiac. My shift is in Pontiac, so I know how they are. I know who they are. And I'm like, well, I don't fit that demographic at all. Yeah, you probably do. This is just probably how you act at work. But anyways, okay. That's like, I'll save this for another episode. Take care.